cited. Excellent list of resources that you can take home and at your own pleasure kind of go through. And if you have any questions, there's business cards over there as well for both Jeff and I, and certainly talk to you anytime.
Hi, Dave Baumhoff again, live on Lake Mac. There's a fair amount since the water's been going down the last few years. What are landowners allowed to do? I know I saw it with weeds, and the other question is cattails. I saw the deal about manual and so on. Can you explain that a little bit? With manual, what if somebody's out there with a rototiller? Just curious what's allowed. A lot of people are wondering that. And are cattails the holy of holies, or a cattail? We need to know what can be done about that. So.
When the legislature passed the amendments, especially the ones that passed last year, the amendments apply to Great Lakes wetlands. So that's a significant distinction that we need to emphasize here. If you're on a drowned river mouth, if you're on a riverine system, if you're still on Lake Macatawa, Muskegon, White Lake, and such, you still are required to obtain a permit from the agencies if you intend to fill, dredge any unconsolidated vegetation between the ordinary high to the water's edge. What the amendments that the legislature passed last year deal with the Great Lakes. So if you're in the proper Lake Michigan, or in our areas will be, in Jeff's area will be up in the Traverse City area or in Saginaw Bay that are on the lake proper, the Great Lakes proper, that's where some of those amendments that will allow property owners to do certain amount of hand pulling, de minimis removal, and for both agencies, mowing of vegetation.
Yeah, to totally pinpoint it right down to Lake Mac, if you want to work from that ordinary high water mark that we developed out to the middle, it's going to require a permit from the Corps. At the very least, give me a call. We can discuss your particular project. And unless you're going to mow it, it's going to require a permit. And cattails are vegetation.
I'm Dennis Cron. I'm from Ferrisburg, live along Lake Michigan, represent a homeowners association. According to the website about the changes or relaxations last year, and I tried to cover this with Michelle, the whole Ferrisburg area is in the Critical Dunes area. And the indication was that none of the relaxations applied to any proposed work in the Critical Dunes area. Is that correct? She essentially said to me, any work that any of our homeowners want to do requires permits from both agencies. And we have a bunch of extra wide beaches. We have new foredunes created. We have people talking about doing all sorts of work there, and we need clarification about what types of permits are required.
Okay.
Thank you.
So switching gears a little bit here with the Critical Dunes program. In August of 2012, the legislature proceeded to amend the Critical Dunes Act, Act 353, which, by the way, we didn't cover here tonight, but and what the legislature's intent was to put in place certain amendments to cover a number of, or fix a number of areas that this current statute prior to 2012 has some significant barriers to overcome. One of them, for example, is constructing a residence or structure Lake of the Crest there was a strict prohibition in the pre-2012 law that basically tied the department's hand with respect to considering any additions, any structures, if they were located lakeward of the crest on the critical dunes. What the legislature did was say, okay, let's allow for those applicants to come in and show that they are utilizing to the maximum extent possible their property, and in those instances that there's no room, that they have considered all the other alternatives, the department will be willing to consider issuing permits in certain instances. So that was number one. The other issue, and the legislature did, was to, again, under permit, authorize homeowners to come in and apply for a permit and propose driveways that will take a vehicular driveway from, that will take someone from public roadway up to the building site. Prior to 2012, again, in the statute, the bar was set really high, and in most instances, the department was required to ask the individual to consider either a walkable access to the residence, tram access in some instances. What this legislation did was to say, hey, vehicular access from dedicated roadway, the department at least have to consider that. So, those two examples about the amendments. That I can recall, the legislation did not exempt sand redistribution. That's one that we get a lot in this part of the lake. Right after the winter, it's over. We get a significant amount of sand on our beaches, on our driveways, on our access points. You still are required to obtain a permit to redistribute that sand that has accumulated over the winter. So hopefully that answers your question.
That's all, then
let's give a big round of applause for all our representatives.
And I just wanted to mention, we should have mentioned this earlier, but John Cran is back there. John, would you raise your hand? He's from Congressman Huizenga's office. And as you know, the federal government has strong involvement in our Great Lakes, the dredging. There's kind of a broken dredging funding system. They own the infrastructures along the coast. They help us to predict for a few months in the future what the lake levels may well be. So I don't know if there's anybody else from federal representatives' offices here or if there's state, but I just wanted to mention that John's back there. And again, thanks for your support, John, and your boss's support as things have happened. So thanks, Dan.
Thanks, and we'll keep the room open for another 15 minutes or so, and if you want to corner one of our speakers for a few minutes, I think we'll all hang around here, and if you haven't gotten some of the desserts, those are great torts and cheesecakes up there, so grab one on your way out.